The dead of night. An 84-year-old woman vanishes from her own bed, a place where she should have been safest. The only witness is a silent camera that captures a masked figure slipping through the shadows. 6 months have passed. There is no body, no confirmed suspect, and a bizarre digital ransom note that has left experts completely divided. But the most chilling detail in this entire mystery is not the security footage, nor is it the Bitcoin demand. It is a desperate public message from her high-profile daughter. Looking directly into the lens, she tells the unseen captor, "You have tried to do things the right way." Why would anyone say that to someone who abducted an elderly woman? Is it possible that the authorities already possess the microscopic trace evidence needed to break this wide open, but are choosing to stay silent? And what dark truth forces a family to stop asking for a rescue and start begging for a location? 6 months is an agonizingly long time to live with a single echoing question. Where is Nancy? Nancy Guthrie was not taken from some isolated rural dirt road where police were hours away and cameras were non-existent. Nancy was taken from a densely populated metropolitan area, directly from her own home. This was a place surrounded by neighbors, a community where a crime of this magnitude should have left a massive trail of evidence. Despite immense media attention, national headlines, and vast law enforcement resources being poured into the investigation, the mystery surrounding Nancy Guthrie feels painfully open. The image that still haunts everyone following this case is the grainy night vision footage of a masked figure standing right on the doorstep of Nancy. It shows a backpack, a posture, and a fleeting moment in time, but it hides the one thing everyone is looking for. It hides the face. Could the person in that video have executed a flawless abduction, or could the person responsible have made one microscopic mistake that is currently sitting in a police laboratory being analyzed? When days bleed into weeks, and weeks drag into months, even the biggest stories begin to fade from the front pages. The public moves on, but for the family, time simply stops. Savannah, the daughter of Nancy Guthrie, refused to let the name of her mother be forgotten by the world. In high-profile cases where a loved one goes missing, the words spoken by the family during press conferences or on social media are almost never random. They are calculated, deeply studied, and very often guided by behavioral experts who know exactly how to reach into the mind of a criminal. Back in February, in the early days of the nightmare, Savannah Guthrie used a very different tone. She spoke of Nancy as fiercely loving, spunky, clever, and kind. This is a classic documented psychological strategy. You humanize the victim. You force the captor to see a mother, a grandmother, a human being, rather than just a target or a piece of leverage. You appeal to whatever goodness might still exist inside them. But by late July, as the 6-month mark approached, the message from Savannah shifted entirely. The hope that once laced her words seemed to be replaced by a heavy, undeniable exhaustion. Savannah Guthrie posted a new video, and her eyes told a story of a family trapped between grief and the unknown. She delivered a specific, targeted line that immediately changed the feeling around the entire case. Looking into the camera, Savannah said, "We have done our part. You have tried to do things the right way. Make the right choice. Tell us where to look." This phrasing stopped investigators and true crime analysts in their tracks. Why would Savannah tell someone connected to the violent disappearance of Nancy Guthrie that they tried to do things the right way? How does snatching an elderly woman in the dark equate to doing things right? This highly unusual wording birthed a new, terrifying theory. Could this message have been aimed not at the original kidnapper, but at a third party? Could Savannah have been speaking to someone who was only supposed to care for Nancy after the fact? Someone who perhaps did not plan the abduction, but who became trapped in the silence after things went horribly wrong. It is a plea designed to lower defenses, offering a psychological way out for someone who might feel they have gone too far to turn back. And then, there is the most devastating part of the message from Savannah, the plea to tell the family where to look. It is the kind of sentence a daughter says when she is no longer praying for a miraculous return, but is simply bracing for a final, heartbreaking truth about Nancy. It is the sound of a family accepting that the nightmare might only end with a recovery, not a rescue. This is exactly where the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie spirals from a standard missing persons case into a complex psychological digital maze. Shortly after Nancy was taken, alleged ransom notes began to surface in the media and reportedly reached the family. The first note reportedly addressed Savannah directly. It boldly claimed that Nancy was safe but scared, and it demanded millions of dollars to be paid exclusively in Bitcoin. The writer gave them a strict, terrifying 7-day deadline. Deadlines in kidnapping cases are designed to induce panic, forcing families to act recklessly and quietly. But the text contained a very strange anomaly. The writer used the term USD to describe the money. Americans rarely, if ever, refer to their currency as USD in casual or even criminal demands. Could the sender have actually been operating from outside the United States, utilizing the proximity of Tucson to the border? Or could the author have intentionally used foreign phrasing to throw federal investigators off the trail? Furthermore, were these notes genuinely sent by the people who took Nancy Guthrie, or could they have been crafted by an opportunistic scammer exploiting a family's deepest fears? In verified kidnappings for ransom, a demand for millions of dollars is almost always accompanied by immediate proof of life, a photo, a voice recording, a detail only the victim would know. Without proof of life, the demands feel highly suspicious. Later, reports indicated a second alleged note arrived. This one was entirely different. It asked for no money. Instead, it reportedly expressed regret over the passing of Nancy. This completely altered the emotional landscape of the investigation. If real, it signifies a tragedy that occurred shortly after the abduction. If fake, it is a display of unimaginable cruelty. Could these digital footprints be the ultimate key to finding Nancy Guthrie? Or are they the most elaborate distraction ever designed to waste precious investigative time? To the general public, observing the silence of the past 6 months, the trail for Nancy might look completely cold. But behind closed doors, a different narrative is unfolding. Sheriff Chris Nanos of the Pima County Sheriff's Department recently made a public statement that completely shifted the atmosphere of the investigation. Sheriff Chris Nanos revealed that investigators actually had massive amounts of DNA to sort through, and hours upon hours of video evidence to review. More importantly, Sheriff Chris Nanos used a very specific, carefully chosen word when discussing the future of the case. He did not say they were going to make an arrest. He did not say they were going to clear the case. Sheriff Chris Nanos said he was positive they were going to resolve it. The word resolve carries a heavy, multifaceted weight in the world of law enforcement. Resolving a case does not always mean someone ends up in handcuffs immediately. Sometimes, resolving a case simply means finding the missing person. It means giving the family the answers they have been begging for, even if those answers bring absolute devastation. If law enforcement truly possesses that much evidence, why has there been no arrest in the 6 months since Nancy Guthrie vanished into the night? The reality of the physical crime scene might hold the answer to that delay. The home of Nancy was not a sterile laboratory environment. It was a deeply lived-in space. It was visited regularly by family members, gardeners, maintenance workers, delivery drivers, and guests. Investigators cannot just pull a single DNA profile and match it to a suspect. They have to painstakingly eliminate all that innocent, everyday DNA just to find the one oddball, unknown profile that absolutely does not belong there. It is a sorting problem of massive proportions. But let us look closer at the footage. In the video, the masked figure appeared to be holding a flashlight in their mouth to keep their hands free. Could that person have left microscopic trace saliva behind on that device if it was dropped or on the property? Could they have transferred sweat or touched DNA onto a door handle, a counter, or a gate, even while wearing protective gloves? Gloves can still pick up material from one surface and transfer it to another. If that masked individual spent a prolonged period inside the home of Nancy Guthrie, breathing, moving, operating under immense adrenaline, could they truly have left without leaving a single microscopic trace of their identity? And what about the video evidence mentioned by Sheriff Chris Nanos? The public has only seen a few seconds of a figure on a porch, but investigators do not just look at one camera. They look at the entire digital grid of the city. Could they be reviewing ring cameras from 3 streets over? Traffic light cameras from the major intersections? Business security feeds from miles away? They are likely trying to build a digital map of exactly where that person came from and exactly where they went after leaving the home of Nancy. One camera gives you a shadow, but 50 cameras might give you a license plate. When an investigation stretches into half a year, the silence from authorities begins to sound a lot like failure to the outside world. But in the true crime reality, silence is often a weapon. It is used to keep the suspect comfortable, to protect fragile leads, and to ensure that when a trap is finally sprung, it is inescapable. But this is not just a fascinating puzzle for the internet to solve. This is a living, breathing nightmare for the family of Nancy Guthrie. Every single morning brings the heavy burden of an empty hope, and every single night brings a new, chilling terror of the unknown. The latest message from Savannah Guthrie was not a polished television script delivered by a broadcaster. It was a daughter projecting her trembling voice into the void, hoping the person on the other side might still possess a single shred of conscience. Her words hold the unbearable weight of 6 months of sheer agony. Is law enforcement truly on the verge of resolving the disappearance of Nancy, silently building an airtight case behind the scenes, or did that masked figure permanently vanish into the dark, pulling off the impossible. The clock is ticking, the 6-month milestone has passed, and someone, somewhere, knows exactly what happened in that house.